In this video, I want to explain a bit about how I arrange these Vibrafile so you don't have to stumble around trying to figure it out. Remember that you need a butt kicker or some equivalent and the free SimHub app to use these Vibrafile. The links to everything I'm talking about are posted in the description below, and if you want to know how to install SimHub, click on this video next. I have these generally broken out into files based on recorded vibrations and those based on my impressions of what the helicopter feels like taken from available videos and what the sim suggests might be happening. I'll start with the DCS Huey, which I just posted on my Sim Market page and fits in the category of my impressions rather than actual recordings. The Huey is a fairly large helicopter, and my impression is when you kick on the starter, you'll feel a distinct bump, like starting a large motor, because that's exactly what it is. So I have that coded in, and there's a volume slider for it. All the effects have a volume slider because everyone's rig is different, and how well it conducts vibrations and sensations is rig dependent. I have it set out of the box the way I like it. You might have to change the volume level to suit you. The next item is the starter spin up. In the same way you can hear it spin up, you can also feel it with this effect. Similarly, adjust the volume accordingly. Next item is hearing the engine burn starting. It's a distinct low frequency rumbling. In order to keep things organized, I group related effects together. These particular items all go into engine, and the engine category has its own volume slider. So once you have these three effects balanced the way you like it, you can turn the whole engine category up or down as you like. Okay, the next category I have is ground handling. In it, the first item is what I call low rotor resonance. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's a distinct rocking motion of the whole helicopter when it reaches or passes its resonant frequency. The whole thing will rock for a little bit on spin up, and it's just a natural mechanical phenomenon. Next item is landing. When I land, I want to feel a bump. You know you're going to feel it when you come down. If nothing else, you want to be able to feel it. Next thing on the ground is skid scrape. This again is my impression. You know when you start to take off and the ship yaws a little bit because you're not quite balanced? You've got heavy metal on concrete scraping. I imagine you're going to hear and feel that. I wish that the Sims would distinguish between ground contact on concrete versus dirt, but it doesn't. So I just model a generic feeling of metal scraping. Don't worry, it won't rattle your teeth. Unless you want it to, in which case just turn the volume up. Okay, last category is flight stuff. First item is rotor stuff. This is the bread and butter of helicoptering. But it's not just a repetitive, dull rotor. No, I got this tuned to feel out when the machine is working hard, climbing, banking, hovering, etc. So you can learn to distinguish how it sounds and feels in different aspects of flight. Next item is ETL shutter. Now there's a transition between hovering and cruise, which is called effective translational lift. And there's a bit of an aerodynamic disturbance that accompanies it. I can't say personally that I've ever felt it in the R44 or MD500, but the sim will definitely reflect a shuddering because of it. I model that here so that the feeling matches what you're seeing in the sim. Next two items you should ideally stay away from, as they are representations of abnormal flight conditions. VRS means vortex ring state. It means the helicopter is now falling out of the sky because you got into an excessively fast vertical descent. I have that modeled so you can feel it before it fully onsets, so ideally you can learn to recognize it and take corrective action before it fully develops. Last item is VNE, which is velocity never exceed. Basically, you're going way too fast, and you're going to hurt something. I have that modeled so it matches the shuddering you see in the Huey at high speed. Okay, I lied. The very last category here is what I call code. It's just code I'm using to keep track of what's happening that lets the rest of the assets know when to do what. It doesn't put out any vibrations of its own. It's sort of the symphony conductor of all the other musicians. Now, there's no magic about this sort of thing. You can do this yourself if you want to spend the time and effort. For me, it's a labor of love. I've sold a few files, but believe me, I'm not living off this stuff. But if you want to save yourself the time and effort of creating these for yourself and have something ready to go, You can download a free one or buy one. The purchases will go towards funding more helicopter flights where I can get some legit recordings to translate, and that's what I'll talk about next. For the recorded vibration files, I actually record the vibrations across a full startup and shutdown and full flight on a given helicopter. This way I know exactly how it feels during every aspect of the operation. Because of that, I arrange the categories somewhat differently. The flight stuff is where all the frequency information is kept, and it's a package deal. You can't adjust the individual frequencies because I've already coded them in based on what I recorded. What you can adjust is the volume of the whole flight operations. The things I wasn't easily able to record are in the specialty conditions group. Things like ETL, VRS, overspeed, which is simply VNE, skid scrape, and landing. Obviously, I'm not going to ask the pilot to demonstrate VRS. No one wants to die doing this. That's one of the reasons we fly in the sim instead of real life. And then again, there are a couple of other pieces of code floating around whose volumes are at 0 because they just help manage the overall process of dispatching various frequencies as necessary. So I hope that helps. Remember, I have the new DCS Huey Vibrafile up, and it's really fantastic. And since this is a payware edition, I want to ask you fellow rotorheads, what is the next Vibrafile I should work on for a free helicopter out there? Flight Sim 24 has the S64 Sky Crane and just added the 135. Flight Sim 20 also has a free 135, a 429, the Mosquito, and I've already thrown a couple free Vibrafiles out there for the 407 and the Cabri. DCS has a free Blackhawk, and I've already thrown a free Vibrafile out there for the 086. I'd like to contribute to the community with another free Vibrafile. So what free chopper would you like to see done next? Let me know in the comments below, as well as any other comments or questions you have. I always read them and respond as I'm able. And until next time, may the feeling of that rotor wash over you.